Hi, Melanie Johnson, one of the owners of Elite Online Publishing. I just got back from the eWomen's conference in Dallas for 2019, and I wanted to share with you some of the notes that I took. It was such a great, empowering conference. It's not just for women. There were some men there, but it was just so empowering for business people in general. So I wanted to share some of that information with you. So one of the speakers that we started out with was the founder of Peach Clothing. Her name is Janet Krause. So one of the big takeaways I got from her was that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So what does that mean? She says, companies can all have great strategies, but the ones that have the great culture are the ones that succeed because their customers buy into the culture and the vibe that they're giving. So what makes your culture? It's your mission. So your mission is, why do you exist? So she said, think about writing the press release about the future of your company. What would it say like 2 years from now? What would your customers be saying? What would your employees be saying? What would your suppliers be saying about your company that you would see that you would want 2 years from now? Then she said, it's important to have a vision. So she was saying, like, your vision, I think it was for Amazon, started out that their vision was to be like the place to go buy things for the country. Now it's world domination. They want everyone in the world to be buying from them. The third thing was values. How do you want others to experience you? So it's the values that you have that crosses all the platforms that you have. Again, your services, your experience when they're coming in the door and walking out the door, whether it's online or offline. The values that you have that transcends into your company, your staff, the people that you deal with. And then the fourth thing was leadership philosophy, how you communicate to all those people and how you show up every day. One of the other big takeaways that I got from her was lean into your strengths. So she did this whole visualization. She said, picture a path that's clear. It's a wooded path and it's got archway of trees going around it. And you're walking down this clear path and you can run down it. You can walk down it. You don't have to think. You can enjoy the visual of the whole thing, enjoy the trees, the sun, hear the birds. Then think about a path that has some obstacles in it. Maybe you're walking on a path that you have to hike and it's got some roots in it and it's got some stones in it and things like that. So you have to watch where you're going there. She said, those are your middle strengths. So like you could do it, but you have to kind of trudge through it more. It takes more effort. She gave the example of doing a spreadsheet. She says, you know, I could do a spreadsheet, but it's not my favorite thing to do, not the best thing that I do. So it would take me probably 10 times longer than someone who does spreadsheets all the time. That would be considered your middle strength. So she said, and your lesser strength is like a path that has things that you have to like get yourself through. So it's not just the things on the road that are you have to watch, but there's like tree limbs in your way and there's barricades in your way and you're having to push through and really, oh my gosh, it's like such energy to get through that path. So the moral of the story was really to lean into your strengths, go down that clear path, find somebody else to do those other things that are your middle strengths and your lesser strengths. Sometimes when we're starting a company and you're new and an entrepreneur, you really feel like you have to do everything. So, and she gets that. But as you grow, you've got to find people that you can put into place that it's their strengths, not your middle strengths and lesser strengths. So sometimes if you don't have money when you're starting a company, you can trade out those services, find out what you do have that they might need. So you can focus on growing your company and being the CEO of your company. Then Sandra Yancey is the one who ran the eWomen's conference, and she was amazing, gave such amazing content. So one of her key things was, what is my next bold move? Ask yourself that every day, your next bold move to become $1 million grossing company. So her goal is to have 1 million women-owned companies that gross $1 million or more. So she gave this statistic, which I thought was pretty interesting. Only 10% of women-owned businesses make over $100,000. I was surprised at that. And she said only 2% make $1 million or more. So I was like, wow, that's pretty staggering. So I'm happy to say that Elite Online Publishing is one of those 10%, and our goal is to get to that 2%. So the question comes to, what do you need to be $1 million grossing business? So she gave a lot of strategies on this. I'm going to go through some of them. So she said you have to have 4 things. You have to have clarity of vision, strategic plan, execution, and then implementation. So she started out with, do you have the right people in your business? Do you have the right people in your life? And are you hanging out with people that are smarter than you? So she said, you want to make sure you have the people that are the right fit, that are propelling you forward, whether it's in your business or your life. And she made a good point about, are they smarter than you? So when we talked about leaning into your strengths, right? So the ones that are your middle strengths and lesser strengths, are they way smarter than you? Are they smarter than the average person? You want the top people to be in your business. And on the personal side, you want people who are smarter than you too, that can help guide you, coach you. So you want to be on the same level or smarter of the ones that are going to mentor you and help you get to that next level. She said, focus on things that make you the most money to get you the right people to help you. So focus on the things, like if you looked at all of your products and services and decided which is the most profitable, then focus on that. She was saying that find that one thing that makes you the most money and be great at it and make it a cash cow. So there's a bunch of things I'm going to go through later that explain what you have to do to get it there to be that cash cow. So it's also important to make sure that you balance and have self-care, constantly creating the new you that grows with your business. She was saying, the person that she was 10 years ago is different than the person she is today as her business has grown, because she's learned so much and grown so much. And so sometimes the people that started with you aren't the people that end up with you. So make sure that you have that, and you have to have constant products and information. So if a product's not working, then you need to get rid of it. I love the story. She didn't share this, but this is one of my favorite stories with Steve Jobs and the then new CEO of Nike. He was asking Steve Jobs, so what do you think of all our great shoes that we have? We came out with all these new products. And he said, if you really want to know my honest opinion, he said, most of them are crap. He said, I would stick with your top 3 sellers, make them awesome, even more awesome, and go with those and get rid of the rest. Just stick with what you do best and make those really profitable. So this was key for us, because this year we have really been working on our processes and our systems. She said, you have to have processes and systems in order to scale your business. So what does that mean? You have to be able to duplicate it, and it has to be repeatable without you doing it. So the key question you want to ask yourself every day when you're doing something, is this something else somebody else can do? The story I tell us for our business is, we say, all right, we have to be the coach. We can't be the player on the field. So if you use the football analogy, like you can't be the quarterback, the running back, the tackle, the offensive lineman. The coach doesn't do that, right? The coach is on the sideline. He doesn't get dressed and put a helmet on and go out on the field. He's the coach. And or the owner of the team, right? The owner of the team is overseeing what the coach does, and the managing and steering the direction of the team, and making sure he has the right players that he's recruiting. So you want to be the owner or the coach, not the player on the field. It's a hard thing to do, especially when you're starting. And ask yourself the question, when you're doing the things you're not supposed to be doing, so what's the opportunity cost of that? So it's costing you something if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing and someone else could do, where you could be making more money for your company, making those connections, those big connections for your company to bring more revenue in. So you've got to create a structural business that can be scalable. So it's like, if you stepped away, or even the person who does that job, like we do a newsletter for our company every week. And I told Lily, who does our newsletter, I want you to write down exactly what you do to create the newsletter, so we have the same structure. So if you get sick one week and somebody else has to do it, they know exactly what they have to do that newsletter. There's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to write about. I don't know the format. So it has to be someone else could step in and do exactly what you just did. And then she said, ask your question. I say every day, and she said every month, what do I have to do to hit that $1 million goal? So ask yourself, what do I have to do today to get to $1 million? And then it's important to have performance and metrics. So you want to go back everything that you're doing and measure it. What's the cost of your services? How's the advertising doing? Do the metrics for every part of your business so you know where you are and you can make adjustments in real time. Then she did a whole thing on sales, which I thought was great. She said 4 things to think about for sales is awareness. So you start with the awareness of your company, then you get the leads, then you get your prospects. The difference between leads and prospects are leads are someone you think is going to be interested. A prospect is definitely interested, and maybe you're going to give them a proposal to making them a customer. So to do that, you have to have messaging that you get results. You have to express the value and positioning the value. So let's break that down a little bit. So results messaging is, what is the result your customer is going to get from your product or service? That's really like the benefits. So for us, writing a book, they're going to be becoming a bestseller. Because they'll get a bestseller, then they'll be able to use that book for a lifetime of value to get new customers and clients. It's an advertising tool that works for them for the rest of their lives. So that's part of the expressed value and messaging, and then the positioning of the value. So, and then she asked the question, what's your sales pipeline? Do you have one? How many are you getting every month, every week? Every quarter? How many do you need? How many leads do you need to get the amount of clients that you want? So I'm a member of Keller Williams and some of their programs, and they do a great thing of, all right, this is how many sales I want, how many sales I have to close, and this is how many leads I have to get there. So with us, we were saying, okay, we want 2,000 leads to get to, say, 50 clients a year, because we're very particular and we don't do 200 clients a year. We want to just do 50. So we don't take everybody either. So what do you have to get? How many leads do you have to get to hit your numbers? You want to have great questions. So the key when you're selling is to have great questions that you can ask your prospects, and then they'll feed you the answers. What's your ideal client, and what is our story? So make sure you have a story for your business. This goes along with branding too. So what is the story behind your business and why you do your business? So think again, I'm going to recap again, know exactly what you need to make your company a $1 million revenue. So if you're having a sales meeting that's coming up this week, this month, ask everyone on your staff, what do we need to do to make our company have $1 million in revenue per year? Not just 1 year, but year after year. She talked about planning, doing, and reviewing. So I love this, so that everybody knows their job and their job description and who's responsible for it. So she said in planning, you want to plan a project, you want to do it, and then go back and get the metrics, which we kind of talked about again, right? Getting those metrics. So she said part of that is also getting the clarity. So getting the clarity on your deliverables. So that's everything that you're offering, your product or service. What exactly are you giving, and what is it costing you to give, and what your margins are? What your sales systems are, your services, the benefits, and the mission. So also your values. So you really should have like a little booklet that tells you what your values are, your mission is, your benefits, the services you offer, and the culture behind that, your sales system, and the deliverables. So she says, back to that one thing, get that one thing going and make it a cash cow, master it and the systems for it. So find that one product or service. I want you to get all the systems down for it. And I'm talking to myself here. I want to really break down one of our products and have all the systems for it from beginning to end, from having the lead, having the person who is now someone who is a prospect, to a customer, to delivering the services, and the experience that the customer is going to have while we're there, and the systems that go with each thing. And then she said, really focus on that, get it down so it's running like a fine-tuned machine, and then make that a cash cow for you. So then you have that income coming in, and then you can focus on another product or service. I thought that was great advice. And she said, make sure you schedule your success. Success is scheduled in your life. So she said you should write down a personal constitution, which is your goals. And Maggie Cook, who I'll talk about later, she said, talking about doing a vision board, but she said make an action board. So I'm going to say that again later, but I'm going to put it in now. I've made vision boards before, but I'm going to suggest, and I'm going to try this myself, to make an action board. What does the action board look like? All right, so next up, let's talk about branding. So branding, they said the story behind every line in design. So every line that you have on every piece of paper for your company, every line that you have on every Instagram posts, Facebook posts, YouTube should have a design to it. Everything needs to be consistent across your whole brand. So you should have your colors, like we just did. We always knew our colors, but we didn't have it written down so everybody else could see it. So have the colors that you use, your accent colors and your main colors, so everybody knows if they're going to make something, they know what the logo is supposed to look like. You have an option of 2 or 3 logos, and you have the option of your main colors and your accent colors. What's your company's signature experience and the emotion of your business? What's the emotion you want people to feel when they see your branding? And what's your story behind that? What does the colors and the look and the feel, what story does that tell? So you want to be able to say also, what is your strength, and speak from there. So you want your brand to be inspiring, engaging, proactive, and alluring. So you want to be able to say, what is the vision of our brand? Ask yourself that. What do others see when they see our brand? So you want to ask people's opinion, not just have it in-house, but what do you see when you look at our website, when you look at our branding materials? How does it make you feel? And then I thought this was a great exercise. So it's like, who else is playing in your space? The competition. So they suggested, go look at your competition, print out the pages from their website, some pages from their social media post, and then do the same for you. So you've got competition and you've got you, and you lay it all out on a table, and then you see what that looks like. What are they doing that's different than what we're doing? What can we borrow or innovate from them? And this was another great tip. If your brand was a thumbnail, what would it look like? And you can only describe your company in three words. So you get 3 words and 1 visual. What is that? And you want to be able to emit emotion, all those things we were just talking about. So you want to have emotion. It tells a story, and it has inspiring message in those 3 words. So, and you want to know how your customers are going to feel about you. And then you want to do the metrics of how people are responding to you as well. So another 3 talking points she had were time, touching, and talking. Time is how you're communicating. Give the point, give multi-bullets of information, and longer isn't better, shorter is better. And you want to touch their hearts, like with emotion that we talked earlier. And then she said, talking is having that consistency of ongoing content and that conversation with your customers. And this was interesting. So she said, you know how, and I do this all the time. So I am totally shifting. Jen and I are totally shifting the way we're going to do our messaging. She said, imaging should be fluid. So many times, like when Jen and I are somewhere, we're just taking a static picture of us smiling into the camera, groups of people smiling into the camera. They said, that's not really what you want. You want that fluid, like, you're having a conversation and you're all having coffee with someone at a conference, or you're doing something. So it's like that action fluid look. That's the look of the new appeal. And she said, every company should have a short sizzle reel. It should only be 10 seconds long, and it should be very innovative. All right, now I'm going to get into Maggie Cook. Maggie Cook is an author, and she has a tremendous story. She grew up in Mexico, virtually homeless, was homeless when she moved to the United States. She won a contest for $800 to start this Pico de Gallo company, and then she sold her business, I believe it was for $231 million. Can you believe that? What a story. So they were talking about innovation. So Sandra Yancey said about Maggie Cook, it's about innovation. Steve Jobs didn't invent the phone. He just innovated it. Maggie Cook didn't invent Pico de Gallo. She just innovated it. So think of how you can be innovative with your product or service. Focus on the successful version of yourself and your business. They were saying you should always stay a student. So Maggie Cook said she was always staying a student, trying to be better, learning and innovating, and be a student of the best version of yourself. So that was an aha moment. Be innovative in your company, but what about being innovative of yourself to be your best self? How can you constantly be innovative and get better and feel better and be on health, spirituality, being happy, being better at business, all of those things? Who do you have to show up as and keep innovating yourself? And this was a great one. These are kind of random quotes that we got here. It's your choices that defined you, not your gifts. So it's the choices. Someone who could be very gifted, who chooses to sit on the sofa, that's going to define them, really, they're going to be lazy and not achieve much in life. So you may have less talent, but your choices every day to pursue those things is what's going to make you great. And action is what changes things. That's the difference, right? Is taking that action. This was another great quote. If something stops you, keep trying new approaches. So I always equate it to my Rubik's Cube. It's like, okay, this isn't working for our business, so let's just keep changing till all the colors line up. We're going to get the formula one way or another. If you could, if one thing can stop you, then nothing can stop you. Action, create an action board. So those two things, if one thing can't stop you, then nothing can stop you. So if you've overcome something in your life, then you can overcome everything in your life. And there's that action board again. So the vision board is one thing, but if you create actions of things you have to do to get your vision, I think that can be really, really powerful. She said, respond with energy to questions. So Maggie gave a great example of this. She said, people asked her, well, are you from Mexico? She's like, hell yeah, I'm from Mexico. So that's a real positive thing. It's not like this, yeah, I'm from Mexico. Like, is that a bad thing because I'm from Mexico? And she used visualization every day. Then you control your life and your life doesn't control you. So she said, think about what you want and visualize it the first thing in the morning and before you go to bed. So I'm pretty good about doing this in the morning. A friend of mine, Mike Quinn, always says, that's what Melanie says, it's going to be a great day. So when I wake up, I say, it's going to be a great day. And another future author of ours says, and I'm so blessed and going to be prosperous today. So I think I got to do that at night too, because at night I kind of say my prayers, but I want to redo the visualization before I go to bed. I think that can be really powerful. So, and you are more powerful than you think. She said, if you harness your power, you wouldn't believe how powerful you are as a human being. And give yourself the permission to be successful. So that was the big takeaways I took from the eWomen's Network Conference for 2019. It was so powerful, very inspiring. Those were a lot of the things that we learned on how to be $1 million grossing company. So I hope you got a lot from this. Go execute. I've got my list of execution things that we're going to do for Elite Online Publishing to take our business to the next level. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.